Humans are weird lava. So the commander of the Central Flight wants to make a formal ceremony of the act of gratitude. 45 clicks informed the human who was busily strapping something onto his legs. 45 clicks stopped speaking as he realized exactly what the human had been trying on. Just to make sure, he flew up to the top of the backpack the human was loading and chirped in, sounding the fragrant depths. "Why are you packing up this personal heat shielding?" 45 clicks demanded. He wasn't sure why all the fur on his body stood on end, but by the gum of the mother tree he had learned to trust that instinct. "I needed to get the samples," the human replied cheerfully. 45 clicks wasn't one to perch on ceremony, even by the loose standards of his people. He leapt up and threw all of his 40 grams of mass in the face of the human and dug his wing hooks into the soft flesh under the human's ears. This let him glare furiously into one of the cavernous pupils of the larger mammal. "What? Samples?" 45 clicks demanded. "Of the lava," the human said quickly. "Hey, wing hooks, man." "Why?" 45 clicks pressed. "For fun," the human replied. "Where are you going to get lava from?" 45 clicks demanded as slowly as he could. "That volcano that just popped," the human replied, gesturing in what 45 clicks assumed was meant to be the direction of the former mountain. It wasn't. How did they survive in nature on their own, the poor directionless things? "The volcano," 45 clicks said. "The one that nearly killed 3 flights. The one that took down not only our Silver Wing atmospheric flyers, but also one of your near-indestructible helicopters. The one that utterly destroyed hectares of land. The one that is currently spewing ash, gas, and liquid magma." "It isn't magma after it gets to the surface," the human insisted. 45 clicks groaned and loosed the human. He slid down the human's chest until he was caught in the broad hand. The hand that was covered in scars so thick any one of them would have utterly incapacitated his wings, and a fresh cut that he knew the human had gained in the rescue operation. 45 clicks sighed and rubbed his eyes. "You are not going to collect magma, lava," the human corrected hopefully. "Lava samples from the volcano," 45 clicks said as firmly as he could. "For fun? And why not?" demanded the human. "I just can't right now," 45 clicks said. "Just go ask the commander." "Will do then," the human said cheerfully as he set off. 45 clicks flew up and passed over the backpack once again. He glared at the thermal armor. He had assumed it was only for rescue missions. His mistake. Humans are weird trees are for climbing. 7 trills fluttered along the outdoor recreation area just over the soft green ground cover as he listened to his assistant. The larger winged was going over the list of guests that would be attending the opening of the new consulate. 7 trills tried to pay attention, but the scorching heat of Sol was stinging his sensory horns dreadfully. He wondered how his assistant was ignoring it. He angled himself over to one of the solitary trees the humans kept in the area, hoping for shade. His assistant followed willingly, and 7 trills soon perched on an exposed root in the clear area around the tree's base. "And I think it would be best if we instituted a general search protocol to avoid insult to the delegate," his assistant said. "Oh, yes, 7 trills replied. His assistant was annoyingly, persistently right about these things. The protective shade provided by the tree was suddenly disturbed by a movement in the branches overhead, and both 7 trills and his assistant angled their eyes up to see what had made the disturbance in the oppressively still air. "Is that a human?" 7 trills asked. "Is that human spying on us?" his assistant demanded. 7 trills heaved a sigh and took flight. His assistant followed. "How would he know we would come to this tree?" 7 trills asked. "Ping," the assistant granted him. They had now reached the human, and any question was put to rest. The human had braced his massive form against the trunk and branches and was blissfully sleeping away. His arms were sprawled over other branches. 7 trills grabbed a handy perch and swung down to a resting position. His assistant joined him shortly. "I don't think we should risk waking him," his assistant said in a tone they had determined humans couldn't hear. "A fall from this height would be disastrous for a human," 7 trills said. What the human was doing here at all was the question. "I checked the duty roster against his name," the assistant said after a moment spent working at his tablet. "This human is in a rest and recreation period, but due to the increased security, he can't leave the base." "Bored humans," 7 trills suggested. "The base has more entertainment options than any of the surrounding communities," his assistant pointed out. At this point, the human's heart rate accelerated in the way that usually preceded waking, and both winged fell silent. The human twitched, stretched, and yawned. His eyes opened, revealing interwoven blue and green irises contrasting his deep black pupils. The colorful muscles dilated and contracted a few moments before he focused on them. "Hey!" the human said, pulling his lips up in a smile. "Greetings," Seven Trills said. "Perhaps you can satisfy our curiosity." "Sure," the human replied. "What are you doing up here?" the assistant demanded. The human glanced down at the ground far below and then up at him. His face seemed to pass between confusion and curiosity a few times, and then he showed all of his teeth. "Trees are for climbing, little friend. Trees are for climbing. Humans are weird serfs up." "So this is what Human Steve has been saving up his printer time for," Twistunder observed as he ambled over the polymer surface. "Do you have any idea what it is?" 35 Clicks asked from above. "No!" Twistunder replied as he reached on end and draped his gripping appendages over the pointed tip. "Then why did you request permission to inspect it?" the winged asked. "Human Steve was giggling while he made this," Twistunder explained. "And what does that have to do with the density of midges over the water?" 35 Clicks asked. Twistunder mused for a moment before replying. "Oh yes, you're new," the ungulate said. 35 Clicks bristled in affront. But as the ungulate simply continued his minute inspection of the human creation, the winged released the load of irritation and fluttered over to him in curiosity. "I think it looks like a floating colony pontoon," 35 Clicks offered, "but larger." "It is very broad for such a function, but on reflection I must agree," consented Twistunder. "And what do you make of these protrusions?" He indicated the 3 triangular forms that rose out of the blunt end of the thing. "Stabilizers," the 35 Clicks said with confidence. "To reduce rolling. Not all species have no concept of up, you know. We have a concept of resisting gravity," Twistunder protested. "It just doesn't mean all that much to us." "Sure, sure." The winged landed between the protrusions and experimentally nudged one with a wing claw. "Strong but small in proportion to the rest of the float." "Indeed," Twistunder said. "Odd that he printed it just now," 35 Clicks observed. "With that wind coming in from the great water, we certainly can't fly, and even you swimming types have declared the best hunting estuaries unsafe." "The force of the waves on this world would crush us," Twistunder affirmed. "I doubt even the famous internal skeleton of our human friends could withstand the blows." "So why now?" 35 Clicks asked with growing uneasiness. "I was concerned," Twistunder admitted. "But your observation on the inadequate size of the stabilizers offers an unclenching explanation." "Unclenching?" 35 Clicks asked. "It relieves my tension," Twistunder replied. "This is no doubt only a component of a larger craft. Human Steve is no doubt building it in sections as he saves up enough to print out all the parts." "That makes sense," 35 Clicks replied. "Consider me unclenched. That is not how that word is used," Twistunder said with some affront. 35 Clicks was about to reply when the human sound of joy, that was far too similar to an emergency alert klaxon, tore through the base. Human Steve burst into the storage room, his bronze skin gleaming, all several square meters of it. 35 Clicks stared in wide-eared shock at the massy of nearly imperceptibly furred dermis. Human Steve was wearing nothing but a small pair of undergarments as he swept up the float. Twistunder had somehow found the speed to slip off the side before this, and seemed less shocked than 35 Clicks as they watched the human disappear out the door with the giant float balanced on his head as if it were nothing. Twistunder never stopped moving. He prodded the stunned winged as he shuffled by. "I will contact the medic," Twistunder said. "You get on the cultural database and find out what in the name of my mother's colony surfs up, little dudes, means." "Humans are weird Aurora." "Don't misunderstand me," Twistunder said, carefully articulating each word. He was perched on a rock about the same size as his human friend's head, and the cold was seeping into his gripping appendages. He dearly looked forward to the time when their friendship advanced to the state that he could ask to actually sit on the blessedly warm head. "It is not that I do not find the sky. Oh, that was a double negative. I do find, is a double positive better?" The ungulate sensed that his human companion was giving him a disapproving glare. At least Twistunder thought Bryant was glaring at him. Bryant's facial positioning clearly indicated displeasure, but it was always hard to tell which direction a human's bipedal form was indicating. Twistunder considered his options and remembered that they were off-duty. "My apologies," Twistunder said, reaching over to pat Bryant's arm with a gripping appendage. "You are resting." I will stop asking questions. Questions are fine, Bryant said, leaning back to rest his head on his arm and focusing on the northern sky again. Just not about grammar. Why do you consider that particular part of the sky? Twistunder lifted both of his gripping appendages in what humans called air quotes, and his people called intensifiers, more beautiful than any other. The aurora twist! Bryant exclaimed, gesturing toward the north with one hand. Just look at it. Red, pink, blue, green, all the colors now. Twistunder focused as hard on his photoreceptors as he could, spreading his motile appendages to catch more of the heavenly light. After a moment, his mass overwhelmed the gripping power of the few appendages he had left gripping the cold, hard rock. He swayed and latched onto the rock again. I suppose the unusually organized patterned behavior is somewhat novel, Twistunder admitted. It is rare to see such large effects other than due to the solar winds. Bryant frowned thoughtfully and twisted his head over to look at the undulate again. So we agree that the sky is beautiful, but you don't think that the aurora looks any more beautiful than the rest of the sky? Indeed, Twistunder said, making sure to shrug the appendages analogous to his shoulders. But we see color the same, right? Bryant asked. I mean, you recognize black, white, and the three main colors. Correct, Twistunder replied. I greatly enjoyed the dot charts your universities shared with us. But you think that plain black and white is just as beautiful as all that color? Bryant asked, waving to the north again. Twistunder refocused on the night sky in mild confusion. The swirling atmospheric colors, pricked by the many-toned stars, created the usual near-infinite color palette, that sense of divine depth that was washed out in the burning light of day stars. The night sky bleeds with every color of the coral, Twistunder quoted the old children's poem. Bryant stared at him and a shocked look spread across his face, closely followed by a look of giddy expectation. You see the night sky in all the colors? He asked. And you only see it as black and white, Twistunder replied, realization dawning. That is why the aurora phenomenon is so valuable to you. The xenobiologists must have missed this somehow, Bryant said with a grin. Well, our species did only meet recently, Twistunder replied. Hey! Bryant sat up and held out his hands to Twistunder. Let's get back to the base and write this up. My contract says I get a bonus for new interspecies discovery. To Twistunder's delight, the moment Bryant's hands closed around him, the human gave an exclamation of displeasure. You are freezing, Twist. Here, hold on to my head. Twistunder gripped the shaved surface in delight as they moved back towards the base. This was a fascinating discovery, really. If humans were blind to the colors of the night sky that would cause a stir is several different disciplines, and if the discovery fell to the ungulates, that would greatly increase their prestige at the university. He examined the glowing stripes that covered the back of the human's neck with the photoreceptors on his gripping appendages. If their sense of color was so limited, could they even see their own bioluminescence? That might explain the seemingly random distribution of self-depiction pigment in their visual art. He resolved to ask Bryant about it after the human completed his report.